I'm Betty Willis from Emory's Office of Government and Community Affairs, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you all tonight, and appreciate you coming out. It's a beautiful night, and sometimes it's hard to come inside on nights like this. But it's wonderful to see so many friends and familiar faces, and I'm looking to see if there are any elected officials that I need to recognize. I don't see anyone, but then even with glasses, I don't see that well. So if you're an elected official, please stand so we can acknowledge you. Not seeing any, then I know we do have Commissioner Keene from Planning and Community Development from Atlanta, but you will be seeing him shortly. And the room, of course, is filled with a who's who of environmental and sustainability superstars, and way too many to recognize. So I'll just say thank you for being here and for all that you're doing for our planet. We need you now more than ever, I guess is an understatement. And I also want to give a shout out to Keenut Howard, who's Director of Emory's Office of Sustainability Initiatives, who was not able to be with us tonight. But her outstanding leadership has been instrumental in Emory being recognized for its innovative sustainability initiatives, including green building, curriculum development, sustainable food procurement, recycling, and water conservation. Emory has one of the largest inventories by square footage of LEED certification buildings among campuses in the country, and it ranks number 10 in the top 10 green campuses. Our water hub, and if you haven't seen that, we give tours, and it's really a cool facility, but it's the first of its kind to be built in the United States. It's an ecological water reuse system that uses plants and microorganisms to recycle 400,000 gallons of water per day. It currently provides about 40% of the campus's overall non-potable water demand. It's really cool. I highly recommend checking it out. We also have a robust recycling and composting program to reduce the amount of waste sent to landfills, and we've committed to an overall goal of diverting Emory's total waste stream by 95% by 2025. This includes recycling 100% of electronics waste and road construction materials, and composting, recycling, or reusing at least 95% of food waste, animal bedding, and building construction materials. Last year alone, Emory recycled white and mixed paper and saved almost 12,000 trees. So I'm sure y'all happy about that. Thank you. I also want to thank John Wegner, you'll be seeing him on the panel shortly. But he and the Emory's Department of Environmental Sciences have been instrumental in so many things related to all of the sustainability initiatives and also this event tonight. So now I'd like to introduce Catherine Cole, who has orchestrated this wonderful event tonight. She's Director of EcoAddendum and is a master naturalist. She also is well known for her as a fine art nature photographer. She spent 35 years learning about forests and ecosystems in the southeastern U.S., and for 25 years she has collaborated with most environmental groups in our region on various projects. She also consults with cities, counties, and educational institutions, and most notably, she's an Emory alum. So please join me in welcoming Catherine Colby, and thank you all so much for being out here tonight.
Thank you so much, Betty, for your embracing welcome from this wonderful institution of learning. This is where I began my journey in learning that it's not just about what you know, but how you know it. My organization, EcoAddendum, or EcoA for short, has brought Joan Maloof to Atlanta to help educate us all about the qualities of our remarkable urban forest. Joan is a scientist. She is a biology professor emeritus from Salisbury University in Maryland. She is an author. Her first book, Teaching the Trees, published by the University of Georgia Press, is something I highly recommend. It's a wonderful introduction to learning about the native trees and forests in our eastern ecosystem. Joan is also her second book, Among the Ancients, is Adventures in the Eastern Forest, is a guide on how to find some of these wonderful places of old growth a lot of people don't realize are out there, and this is a guidebook so you can find them and visit them. And her latest book, Nature's Temples, The Complex World of Old Growth Forests, delves into the science we are just now beginning to learn about the quite literally mind-bending complexity of these ancient and wonderful forests, which also are the most resilient and the most healthy. As founder of Old Growth Forest Network, Joan is also a leader. She is tireless and generous in sharing her knowledge, her time, her energy, and in helping to lead all of us into the century where how we choose to live with the environment will be the defining factor for the next chapter of human civilization. Without more ado, I please welcome Joan Maloof.
Thank you, everyone. Catherine is amazing. You all are amazing. So Atlanta's really turning out for trees in her forests. This is so beautiful to see. So thank you. I just, what a great pleasure that I get to do this work where I get to be surrounded by people like you that are out there working for the forests all the time and enjoying them too. So let me get my hardware ready to go. We'll start on a little bit of a low note, and then we'll kind of hopefully take it up from there. But we need to be realistic that we are losing forest cover on this planet, right? Every year we're losing more. We all know how important the forests are, and it's just mind-boggling that we continue to let them slip away. So this graph, the top, they show original forest cover, and I think they're talking about the dawn of civilization, approximately 5,000 years ago. The continents, the land was 46% covered with forest, and today it is only 30%. And the losses mounting up at the bottom, for instance, globally from 1990 to 2015, we lost another 314 million acres of forest cover on the globe. And these numbers come from the United Nations, the Food and Agriculture Administration. Every 5 years they come out with new numbers, and every 5 years we see how much more we lost. But that's forest cover. And what I'm going to talk about tonight is more than just forest cover. It's because all forests are not, well, they may have been created equal, but they're not equal right now. Because there's high quality native older forests, and there's forests that have been greatly disturbed or that are much younger. So when we look at the numbers of the urban tree canopies of major cities, we see Atlanta on the top. Yes. Woohoo! And we want to keep Atlanta on the top of that list. We don't want to lose any more forest cover. And after, I'm going to talk about generalities about the U.S., and then Catherine's going to talk about specifics in Atlanta and why our numbers are so high. So when we talk about urban tree canopy, right, so this is an overhead view. The red are houses. So there's, your typical neighborhood with the trees. So this is urban tree canopy cover. Now, this canopy is very important for many reasons. Wildlife habitat, water control, beauty, air, we can go on and on. This is also urban tree canopy cover here. And this is urban tree canopy. So you see what I'm saying? They're not all created equal, because this urban tree canopy is doing so much more for the city than even the important neighborhood tree canopies. So we need to recognize these very special places that are left, and to be sure that they stay that way for the next generation. So my latest book, Nature's Temples, is a close look at the difference between the, what I'll call the old growth urban tree canopy, and the younger forests. What really is the difference scientifically? And first of all, we'll start by kind of putting this in context. People say, what is old growth? What does it mean? Well, there's a lot of hair-splitting definitions that you can come up with, but I like to just think of the original forests of this nation, which is, we'll say, bottom left. These graphs were made in 1925, by the way, by the first head of the U.S. Forest Service, and he said, okay, in 1620, this was they called it virgin forest at the time, covering our land. So there were native peoples here, of course, and they had some clearings, and they had plots where they were growing food, but the majority of the land was forested, and it was forested with that older forest that had never been cut as a commodity and had certainly never been paved or built upon. So by 1850, the graph in the middle, you can see how that original forest cover was reduced, because now, almost immediately with the European settlements, we started exporting timber to the places that had already cut their timber. And we started just burning the timber to clear the fields. And we started building railroads, and we started shingling houses, and it was cut, 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 if you read the history. We hit about the low point right at the end of the 1800s in forest cover. Then, so by 1920, top right, you can see not much of that original forest left. And we've continued to lose that original forest. Every decade, losing more of it, every generation. Till now in the East, we have less than 1% of. So when you talk about virgin forest, never been timbered, it's very rare. We do have some places where the forests have been cut once, and then they're coming back with the native species, and maybe they've been in recovery for over 100 years. And so those places are very special. We don't want to just say, oh, it's been cut once, so it's nothing special. We want to recognize that they're in recovery, and they're going to continue to recover, and they can recover those old growth characteristics in time. So we all hear how great the forests are for our air quality, right? But these ancient forests, the old growth forests, are even better for the air quality than the forests in your yard, because of all of the complexity of the ecosystem, the layers of the canopy, all the other organisms in there.